Okay, folks, it's officially International Women's History Day. But did you know black and brown people across the world are reconnecting to their roots and redefining their relationships with the land by gardening and farming? And Black Gardener Talk is dedicated to sharing those voices to inspire all people of color and maybe even some that don't look like us to grow by any means necessary. But sometimes we just gotta have our own safe space to talk. Good morning, I'm Kamani Anku, and this is Black Gardener Talk. And my guest today is Charity Barrett and DeNika Robison. So let's get it started, y'all, and talk black. Got get my guests in the room. Hold on one second. Good morning, everyone. Go celebrate a woman today. It's International Women's Day. What's up, Danica?
Hey, Kimani.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How you
Okay,
guys?
I'm doing good.
I was
Um,
just texting Charity. She should be
okay.
doing there. Can
So
you hear
I,
me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna not wait for her, but I'm
Okay.
gonna get started with you, and then
Okay.
when she jumps in, we're gonna talk. Um, let's go with my main question. What is your first memories of gardening?
Hmm. My first memories of gardening. I remember as a child, I always liked to play in dirt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember my mother telling me I always like to play in dirt, but I also have that memory of just always liking to be outside playing in dirt. I'm gonna say that is my first memory of gardening. And then probably as a parent, introducing gardening to my children or doing activities outside. I think those were my first memories of gardening.
Okay. And so from back then to now to teaching your kids, how is it going for you? What are you doing with the gardening world? How has it been? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna say my introduction into the gardening or the plant world was definitely during the pandemic.
Okay.
Um, not just the the pandemic itself, but just life was life and relationships weren't relationing, and so I just discovered plants. And it started with house plants. My love for plants started with house plants. Um, and it just grew and grew and grew. Then I think my daughter got some chickens, and then it was okay. Now I want to garden. Um, I'm also an early educator, so with science activities and science lessons, gardening and outdoors and nature have always been a part of that. Um, I get Facebook memories from from 15 years ago of like a garden with lilies. I started with school age children, and then I'm like, oh yeah, so I did love plants before the pandemic.
Okay.
So it's always fun to see that. Or I'll get memories of me and my son walking out in the woods. I'm like, okay, because I always also attribute my love of nature and gardening to my daughter Charlie. Like I don't, she was just born with this nature vibe. That is a nature girl. She has chickens. She does not eat meat, and she does not eat meat because she loves animals. And that's been since she was 2, since she realized and put that together. No more meat. She's 10,
Okay.
and she just loves outside. She just loves the farm.
Charlie
And that kind of
is an
speaks to.
amazing child. I gotta say, Charlie is an amazing child. I
Thank
got to meet her
you.
this past summer, and she was an amazing child.
Thank you so much. And that is how, if we're gonna put this charity together, um, sorry.
Okay. It's
That
okay.
is how I met Charity because of Charlie. and her love of farming.
Okay.
Um, and it just has been a beautiful experience. Gardening is therapy for me. It is fun. It is passion. It is part of my work now. I have a garden at work. I have a garden at home. I have a early horticulture enrichment program, and I have there are 4 locations that I have provided early childhood enrichment, and that is children all the way from 6 months to, let's say, five
Okay.
years. Those are my people. Very much like 2 to 5. Those are my people. So, and I love that age group love.
We hear you. I'm assuming Charity is trying to get on, so we're waiting for Charity so we can mix these two together. But what are y'all growing out there? Put some stuff in your comments. Or do you want to start a garden this year? If you want to start a garden, if you in the DMV, hit me up so I can become your garden coach. I'm a garden coach, part-time now, fully part-time garden coach for the people. I have about 6 clients that I'm bringing on this year. We want to be one of those clients. Let's go. But we're still waiting for Charity to join us, and Danica is probably talking to her on the phone while her phone is in circle mode. But yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna be talking
I'm
about
sorry. Yeah, I was just texting Charity.
yeah.
She was like, "Am I missing the
Mm.
invite? I don't know how to get on." So she's trying to get
Okay,
on.
just tell her
Charity,
to go to live, and then I'm gonna
invite her, right?
invite
Yep, that's what
her.
I told her to go onto your live
Mm-hmm.
and then invite her. Charity is, I'm not gonna say like the least technology savvy, but like she is a true farmer. Like she
Okay.
is not. She knows that she needs social media for, marketing purposes, but if she is boots, to go farm the song boots to the ground. Charity is absolutely boots to the ground. Like, so
Am I
hey
in?
sis, how you
Am
Yeah.
girl?
I
Yeah,
in?
good.
Hello.
Hey, Charity, how are you
I'm
today?
good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's International Women's History Day, so I'm celebrating y'all too today. Um,
Yes.
so I'm glad to have you here. But Danica, I'm gonna come right back to you. But I want to get into with Charity real quick because I want to know her first memories of gardening. Let us know what was your first memories of gardening.
Oh, my mother.
Okay.
My mother back in Detroit, living in the hood, but my mom had a beautiful garden.
Okay.
Um, I really never helped her with it or did anything, but I noticed that that was something where every time we moved, she figured out a way to have some type of small garden. And so once I started seeing how much it meant to her, I remember it was like maybe 1995, I might have been like 15. And it was Mother's Day. And I remember digging a garden for her at the home, the home we were in the backyard. And I mean, she was really happy about it. So seeing the joy that it brought her, that's kind of what I associate with gardening.
Oh, that's what's up. I love that story. I mean, we have the same stories. It's my great grandmother that really got me into gardening. She lived to 118 and she had a farm in the South. And then my grandmother said I was going to be a witch doctor at some point. And now I'm like a herbalist. And then my mom's like, you going to start a garden. And so I kind of I feel those same things. So real quick, from Detroit, you said Detroit, right?
Yes.
So Detroit to Maryland now. How did that happen and what made you want to start Charity's Hope Family Farm?
Okay. Well, the move from Detroit, that was, I think I might have been like 6 years old. That
Okay.
was my mom's decision because she got tired of the gunshots, the just everything, right? She knew that she wanted something different for her family. And my dad, he did too. But my mom, she made sure that she secured a job in Maryland, but she knew that moving us as a family wasn't going to be feasible. So she came to Maryland with her best friend at the time, and they got jobs at DC Superior Court and became court reporters. And that's where she retired from, actually. So after about a year of saving up money and getting a stable place, she sent for me, my sister, and my dad. And we came over, reunited, and we started out, believe it or not, in
Mm.
Waldorf.
Okay.
Waldorf, Maryland.
That's, I mean, when I hear Waldorf, I live in Upper Marlboro, but when I hear Waldorf, I still think it's like so far away.
Yeah,
That's kind of
yeah.
crazy, but it's right there on the cusp. But that's great. So when did y'all move to or purchase the land to have the farm, or was that something that it was passed down? Let's talk about that a
Oh,
little bit.
I wish it was passed down. No, I found the it wasn't a farm at the time. It was just a 20-acre property. I was more so looking at the land aspect of it, not so much a farm property. And that was I purchased it in June 30th of 2022.
Oh, so this is still fairly new. Wow.
Oh yes, this is still startup mode right
Okay.
here that you're seeing all of this. This is startup
Okay.
mode.
Okay, so Danica, I'm gonna pass it to you. How did you meet Charity? I know you said ECE stuff. You was doing that. Are you teaching the kids gardening? And then how did you run into Charity? I know you said Charlie kind of pushed you towards that, but how did you find Charity? Were you on the internet, or you was walking down the street? She came to your school. How did that happen?
Okay, so I have another friend named Kim who knew this was when Charity her farm was fairly new, and she knew that the government wasn't being so kind to Charity, and we're talking Charles County government. And she was just like, she knew I had farm dreams. And this is before I had these big farm dreams. I wanted a farm. Like, oh, I want this farm. This after I spent a year on the farm. But
Okay.
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get to that. So she knew, and I was, I had put together a plan, and I wanted this farm, and I wanted all this grand things. And she was like, "Well, um, I've heard about this lady named Charity. She's a black woman in Charles County. She has this farm, and she is like, fighting the government for this. You should see if you can connect with her." So I just followed her. On, I'm a Scorpio, so she didn't have to give me much information.
Okay.
I was just like, okay, I'm gonna find her on the internet, and I started following her, just liking her post. I went to a couple of her events, and then it just snapped. I was just like, okay, so this is where Charlie. I got to the property, and it was just like, this is where Charlie needs to have her for next birthday party, because it's not just a farm. It's
Okay.
also an Airbnb, and I'm not gonna say too much. I'll let Charity talk about that. But it's an Airbnb, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is perfect for Charlie. We can have this sleepover. I'm like a very protective mom, so I don't do sleepovers, but I wanted her to have that experience for sleepovers. So I did a mommy and me sleepover at Charity's farm, and it was like history after that. Charity could not get rid of me. Like, I was just like, I am here. Charlie's birthday is in November. Charity had a winter wonderland in December, and that's probably the first time I volunteered for her, and we did that event. She had a family emergency, and she still pressed on. And it was just like, for me, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And my first impression was Charity was like, she was top
Oh,
tier. Like,
Oh.
I'm here. Like, so, and then so for pretty much the duration of 24, like I was at the farm and just helping physically and doing things, but also learning and soaking up so much things about the farm and farming. And I
Mhm.
saw the other side. Like a lot of times we only see like the glamorous side. The animals are cute, the grass is green, everything is growing, and farming is just beautiful, and it's plows and tractors and field trips and pumpkins. And baby, it is so much more than that. It is so much more than that. And it's
Mhm.
such hard work. And you just have to be a special person
Yes,
to
I
do
feel that because I think most
farming.
people when they're watching us, I would say us, you, Charity, myself,
Hmm.
we just posting these nice little videos and stuff. It look all good, but it's a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even running like a camp, we had like 20 some kids this year, and Charlie
Hmm.
was one of them. I couldn't wait for that camp to be over. I mean, because it's so much work. And
Yes.
two, it's I can just imagine. I mean, I have a small farm too. It's that work is really, really hard. People need to really like. invest in that and
Understand.
go and volunteer on a farm like Charity
Mm-hmm.
Hope's family farm. Come and volunteer with me and Gardening and Beets Farm, and then at my other job where I run the garden as well. But Charity, I want to jump into this land ownership because I told folks we're gonna talk about land ownership. This farm is fairly new, 22 acres. I would say I got some free land that was passed down to me. And so I was lucky in that sense. I didn't have to go out there and fight or put up any money or whatever. Let's talk about that. How did you get this 22-acre land? And then when did you decide you wanted to turn it into like a family farm with animals and all this good stuff that you got going on over there?
Well, I it was 20 acres.
Oh,
I would
20
love for
acres.
it to be 22. Yes, 20 acres. So when I found the land, I had already been looking into getting land, and it was not to do farming. It was to do like glamping and have short-term rentals and that type of thing. I wasn't, my business plan was very different. It did include a greenhouse when I saw this property because I knew that it had a crop field. So when I saw this property, I was in contract with another property off of Cedarville Road in PG County, but I found they had like this environmental defect that would have been like, you know, six figures to remediate it. So I was able to get out of the contract because I had a clause in the contract where if there was anything like that, that I could get out. So I was real disappointed. But then I think maybe a day later, I found this property and I was like, ooh, I like that. So when I was like, okay, I put a contract on it, and she accepted it, and I had to move very quickly. So I decided to go the hard money route. I'm not sure if you want me to
Yeah,
get too technical with the real
get
estate part
well,
of it.
dumb that part down just so people can quickly understand that.
Yes.
The hard money route. What is that and how can I do it if I wanted
All
to
right.
do it?
So a hard money loan is different than like a conventional loan. It's a loan that's usually intended to be short term with a quick turnaround so that you can make moves. It's usually the type of loan that you will see developers using, or really anyone that wants to be able to acquire something quickly and they don't want to go through the typical underwriting process for conventional loans. So you know, it was a 1 year hard money loan. I got myself a mortgage broker, so they shopped around for me. They had to find a lender that had an appetite for these type of properties and the business that I was trying to do. And I got matched up with one. They financed me for 1 year with the 1 year renewal option. And I had to put the money down on the property. It was a nice amount. It was a 20%, I want to say, because most hard money loans do require 80% loan to value ratio.
Okay.
So you got to be ready to come with like 20%. But and I went through it, went to settlement, got the property, and I had the option for like construction loan if there were going to be, or working capital if I wanted to do some things with the property. But I decided not to take it at the time and let it just be an option because I try to bootstrap as much as I can so that I won't be over leveraged with debt.
Okay. I mean that sounds amazing. That means you got some good credit score or something going.
Yes, well, I've always tried to maintain very good credit. Yes, it is credit. Having good credit
Hold on,
is
y'all.
power. It is power. So I highly recommend if you want to buy land to try to keep your credit as good as possible because if you're trying to finance something, it can either make you or break you your credit. If you don't have great credit but you have plenty of cash, then cash is king. So
Okay.
that works too.
Oh, that's good stuff. So you got the land and then you went back down there and you was like, oh my God, I got it. What do I do now? When did you change from wanting to be like a rental property thing to turn it into a farm? When did that pop into your head and what made you want to change routes?
When the Charles County government started interpreting rules and clarifying things that made it very hard for me to do what my original vision was, and when the community started harassing me and torturing me and trying to ruin my life.
Oh
I mean,
no.
no, I'm being
No.
dramatic. I mean,
No,
it's kind of bad. I mean, it
I
was
mean
kind. I mean, I'm not being. Oh, I'm kind of being dramatic,
yeah.
but
I
yeah,
want
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a safe space. Well, I consider this a safe space, and if it's if we want to talk about that and get deep into that, let's get deep into it because it's really that is a
If
problem. I
we're talking
mean,
about land ownership,
yeah,
I
land
do think it's
ownership that is a
relevant.
problem.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's relevant for a number of reasons. Okay, so when you get a property, you have the community or neighbors that have concerns. And I'm finding that oftentimes they don't like developers, no matter what race you are. I'm finding that if you're black, it may make some people uncomfortable, or if you're a business owner, it may make some people uncomfortable. And guess what? I'm all of that.
okay.
I'm a business owner, a developer, and a black woman. So just the community, I don't, when I say the community, I'm really just talking about that small group of people that, who share their beliefs about not wanting me here.
Yes.
But I think the bigger community, the greater community, I think has been very supportive. But that's important because when you see that only 1% of farmland in the United States is owned by black people and even less black women, once you own land, you start to understand why. Because you almost have to sacrifice your life to keep it. And
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking about sacrifice meaning living in fear, where you're getting hate mail, harassed online, vandalism to your property, having police patrol your property 3 times a day to make sure you and your animals are safe. Whoever thought they would be doing that just because they wanted some land, right?
Yeah.
And to like do a business.
Yeah.
So I think that what happens is all these different factors, like the financial struggle and all these weird things happening, like suddenly IRS comes lurking, comes literally knocking at your door after you've made this acquisition. People want to look into, well, how did she buy that property? How did she get all that money for the down payment? And then you go through all of this, having under all this scrutiny, only to find out, oh, she worked hard since the age of 25, kept good credit, was very responsible with money. That's how she did it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a rapper. I'm not an athlete. I've just been an entrepreneur that's had several businesses for a very long time, and I stuck with it. So, just to see going through all of that, though, I can see why a lot of people will quit because it's been a lot of times where I considered selling, and that's still something that pops into my mind because I'm not in the clear 100%. I'm still trying to
Okay.
sort through a lot of things. So the legislative hurdles, zoning issues, community outrage, these are all the things that makes it very hard to try to embark on this land ownership journey.
And why do you keep going? What is motivating you to keep going
It
right
depends
now?
on the day.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the day. I would say it's maybe the top three things: what I want for my family, like the generational wealth so that my children can inherit land and then they don't have to worry about a hard money loan or killing yourself to make sure all ends are meeting. They kind of will have
Mhm.
an easier time. So generational wealth keeps me going. Then I also have this attitude where if I know somebody wants to see me fail, it's something about me that goes even harder, right? And so
Mhm.
just so that they kind of know that I'm going to I'm going to give it my best shot.
Mhm.
If someone's trying to sabotage or tell me I can't do something, that's the quickest way for me to figure out how to do something.
Oh,
So
I
that's
agree
another
with you.
motivation.
I like that.
Kind of
I mean,
stubborn.
that's my motto. I'm ready to come out punching. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Folks said,
Yeah.
oh, you can't do a black gardener talk because you're going to peg yourself into a box. It ain't that many black folks out there that's doing gardening and farming. I was like, well, I'm going to find them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look,
Yep.
this is 5 years later and I'm still doing this. I got a couple deals on the table with this. I got this big award right here, always bigger. I was like, I'm going to
Yes.
do it. You know what I'm
Keep
saying? Don't
going.
do it.
Yeah, they
Keep
tell you you
going.
can't. Because if people tell you that, they just obviously don't understand your vision or your
Yeah.
resolve.
So I'm gonna jump back to you, Tanika. I mean,
Uh
Danica.
huh.
Charity said she's not giving up. She got so it seems like you got some good people in her corner, and you're one of her good people. Now, well, when I seen the stuff online, you seem like the good people. What makes you keep going to help Charity win?
Because charity doesn't give up. I think now it's when
You're going in and out. It's okay. I'll wait for a few minutes. I'll
She's
jump back to you, Charity.
she's multitasking
Yeah.
with her daughter selling Girl Scout
Okay.
cookies. Hmm.
We'll get back to you. But what
Okay.
advice would you give somebody who want to follow in your footsteps? Not necessarily your family and your children, but like a Danica or me or someone else who wants to get that 20 acres of land. What advice would you give them? Besides the good
Okay.
credit, all that stuff. With something good.
Did you want to hold that question now that she's
Oh,
back online and let her
sure, I can
finish?
hold it.
Okay.
Okay. So I was saying, Danica, I'm like, you good friends with Charity. You met Charity, you all in. I mean, that's how I found both of you through Danica. She was bragging about you from the time I met her. What makes you want to keep going to make Charity win?
Because charity wants to win. Like you can't be around charity and not want to win and not want to work hard. Like it doesn't even feel right. Like you like what am I doing here? So what I was saying was in 2024, life was not easy. You know, I try not to complain, but life was not necessarily easy, and I experienced the death of both my grandparents. They were 9 months apart, and they were married for like 50 years. My grandfather was 97. My grandmother was 96, and it was just a lot. And so I found myself kind of stepping back from the farm because I couldn't be that rock star for my girl. Like I knew I wouldn't be all in, and I knew I wouldn't be all there. And so, but up until that point, like you couldn't drag me away from the farm. Like it was like second nature. Like it was like second home, second nature, second classroom. Like because it was always something to do at the farm. A farm is work. Being on the farm, I realized. So I went from gardening at a school in cute little garden beds to full on trying to attack some weeds in a crop field
With no tractor, no
with no
tractor.
tractor, with no real experience, with no real understanding. I found out about the sun on the farm that will kill everything if you don't protect your crops. And it wasn't like that gardening in your backyard. That's not, you don't have those factors. And so trying to grow on the farm was a humbling experience for me. Like so, but I appreciate that time to learn. I really, really do. I am ecstatic that my girl found a farmer to come and grow things on her farm because that is all I really wanted for her. It didn't have to be me. And I always wanted to impress upon her. It don't have to be me, Charity. I'll bring the people to you. Like, whoever
Yep.
you need, it doesn't necessarily have to be me. I just want this for you, and I'll try to do it. But if I can't try to do it, I can try to bring you who you need. So it was never about me at the farm. I try to always make it about charity because I just appreciated how open she was, how trusting she was of me, and how she was willing to so sharing. Like I want to share this with, and not just me. She wanted to share this with everybody. Like
Yes.
how she wants her farm to be like a think tank for smaller, entities. Whatever your passion is, if it's the farm, if it's wellness, if it's entertainment, event planning, if it's growing, if it's you know a business ownership. She wants to share that. She wants to share it, and like I said, it was just that first impression. It don't take me long to figure out if
Okay.
I like the
No,
person.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
But
And
it
I
don't take me
saw
real
that.
long.
Yeah, and I saw that when you was posting a lot of stuff, and I saw your page, and then I saw Charity. I thought you was Charity at the time. The way you was posting and doing out there with the animals and stuff, I was like, damn, Charity
Yep.
is doing it big time.
Yep.
And then I actually saw a live, and I said, oh, that's Charity. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, it was just like I needed everybody to know about this little gem that was in Charles County. Because when you
Yeah.
come to the farm, there is a feeling that I really can't put into words. That I think that's why I never wanted to leave, because it's just this feeling of peace. And you could feel that peace even when you can see the other side is chaotic, and the animals need certain care, and guests aren't always kind, and the weather is crazy. There was still a peace. There was still something that told me I still want to go to the farm, even if it's hard work, even if I'm getting bit up by bugs and gotta go to urgent care because I'm swelling up, and like it was just craziness, like stuff I had never experienced before. I never knew I was that allergic to bugs until I started working on the farm.
That-
Like I
That's
found
what's up. So,
myself at urgent care with like swollen leg, and I'm
oh
like, well, what
wow.
what is this? Like, but that still didn't stop me to say, oh, I ain't going to the farm. I'm still there. All right, I'm about to leave urgent care. I'm headed to the farm. Well, now I know I got the medicine. I need to take Benadryl. It was just a lot of learning and just a lot of meeting some amazing people, and learning a lot about myself too, and how and what is and what not may not be for me, and I just learned in such a short time in a year. I learned so much, and that was because of the graciousness of Charity
She's
and
Charity.
too
sharing
And
her
that's a good,
mom
kind.
and her
yeah,
family with me. Yep.
yeah. That's a good thing. I mean, we always learning. I call myself a life learner, and I want to continue to learn
Mhm.
as well. I don't want a big farm either, because the same thing you went through, I was going through. So I was like, let me keep it small to a half acre, and that's it. But Charity, let's go back to that. What advice would you give somebody that want to walk in your footsteps?
Um, get you somebody like Nika. That's one thing.
Okay.
If you should be so lucky, because I'll just venture out into just this segue. Um, Nika is being very modest right now. She's focusing on kind of like what her interests were at the farm, but part of why I continue have like welcoming Nika to be around and sometimes begging her to be around is because Nika plugged herself into aspects of my life that just didn't have anything to do with growing things, which is her passion. When I tell you that she got behind me, baby, she got behind me. Like she would make sure that I ate. She would make sure that I had medication when I was sick. She would give me pep talks when I was in tears and trying to threaten to sell the farm. She even, because she knows I'm a business owner of other businesses, she even came and covered at my child care center when I was short staffed there because she knew how hard it was for me to be in both places. Nika is not really, she's reluctant with animals. That's not like her jam overall. But when I tell you to see her face her fears, and then even about germs, she doesn't like germs, to see the kind of stuff that she did. I'm talking about picking up sick alpacas, watching animals die, trying to save animals, shoveling poop, sifting through alpaca poo to put it in burlap sack bags. I mean, whether selling tickets at an event, I just it's so. And then when you don't have, she's not the only person that inserted herself in my life in that capacity. I had like a handful of people, but I would say that she was here probably like every day almost. Just I don't know. I don't even know how she did it. So without people like that, it's very hard to embark on this type of journey. You need yourself a village. You need a team. If you keep it small, you can make do. But for the vision I had, I need people. And
Okay.
so I would say my advice is to make sure you have a support system and make sure that you do your due diligence when trying to find land and figure out like what exactly you want to do. You do your due diligence, you do a feasibility study, and you make sure that you don't just go and buy a piece of land and not know what the zoning restrictions are and all of those type of things. You really should get very well versed in the zoning ordinance of the jurisdiction you're looking to buy land in.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm loving this. I mean, I'm kind of like laughing, but I'm also got some tears that want to come down because this is an amazing story. Just two sisters just coming together, and then it's Women's
Mhm.
History Month,
Yeah.
and and it's just like y'all like it's like this is amazing. Let's get into these animals. When did Charity decide to get these animals and bring these animals to this place? Because I'm all like goo goo gaga about these alpacas.
Yeah,
How did this happen? What was the first animal you got, or were they already there? Was some people left the animals on that property?
no, zero animals here. Well, there were some geese
Okay.
and a couple ducks when I first came, but I think that so I when I was here struggling with the Charles County government, planning and growth management, struggling to understand how they were doing things in this town regarding zoning, when I saw all the restrictions on the things that they were telling me I needed to do for my original business plan, I needed to pivot. By me studying the zoning ordinance to figure out if what they were telling me was correct, I stumbled upon some new legislation that was probably not even a year or two old called agritourism. It was a new creation, basically a new use category in the zoning ordinance that pretty much encouraged people to use their land if they're doing farming in any type of way or any kind of agricultural operation. They can also do quasi commercial things on their property, sort of like a mixed use development on farmland, as long as it somehow relates to agriculture or your agricultural operation. So when I discovered it, and I was like, wait a minute, in the definition they created, they included camping, farm stays, ecotourism, bird watching, hiking, just, I mean, everything you can think of, they had it right there in the zoning ordinance. So I was like, wait a minute. I was like, okay, I started looking up definitions. You always want to look at definitions when you start with these things. And I'm like, okay, how can I like pivot and redesign my business plan to fit this legislation perfectly? That's what I did. And I represented it to the county. And unfortunately, it still was a fight.
Uh,
But I had to get tough. I had to go up against the county attorney. I had to ask for meetings, and I was quoting the zoning ordinance, and I was also letting them know that the way they were treating my farm was not consistent with the way other farms were being treated. So,
Mhm.
it was that part was really hard. So when I but I knew that if I stuck with it, eventually I didn't think they would be able to continue doing what they were doing without them giving a little bit, because it's either you
Mhm.
either interpret it this way for me and everybody, or you face a potential lawsuit
mhm,
for selective enforcement.
mm,
So it's like you get to choose which one you want, and I think they wanted to choose to try to do the right thing. So I ended up being the first approved agritourism operation in Charles County, and I think right now there
mhm,
might only be one other one. So that was helpful. So that pivot going into animals, I chose animals because I thought that was the quickest way to get into to be qualified as an agricultural operation. And I started with bunnies, and I had barn cats, and then I would just start looking for animals,
mhm.
and we got chickens, then ducks. Then my husband one night was like, "We should get some alpacas." I was like, "What are alpacas?" I kid you not. What are alpacas? This was just 3 years ago. What are alpacas? I really hadn't heard of them before. He was like,
Mhm.
"You remember what was it with the Denzel Washington American Gangster when he had the alpaca rug and you got to block that, you got to block
Yeah.
that." He referenced me. I was like, "Oh, what?" I was like, "Oh," and he showed me a picture, and I was like, "They are cute." And so I started researching. Now, he actually has a habit of saying things around me like, "Oh, we should do this or we should do that," and he's like a very he has a sense of humor. He plays a lot, but he
Mhm.
knows better than to do that around me, because I want to say probably 3 days later, I told him, "Come on, we're going to Pennsylvania to pick up some alpacas in our cargo van." And he was like, "What? We're about to drive 4 hours to go?" "Oh, okay. Well, where are we going to put them? We don't have any pasture." I'm like, "We're going to put them in one of these buildings and we're going to get a pasture done within a few days." And that's what we did.
Okay.
That's what we did. So we just started acquiring animals, and every time we would get a new species,
Mhm.
that learning curve and caring for them and learning
Mhm.
them, I've never felt better. I felt so much joy, and just it was like almost like a high. I know dopamine was doing its thing up here because it was like, okay, so is this what people talk about when they have emotional support animals or animal therapy?
Mm-hmm.
And then because of how stressed I was with what I was going through with the harassment and the starting to wonder if I was going to have financial problems, I really feel like that helped save my life because I have high blood pressure and I'm on medication for that. And I really was starting to feel unwell from all of the stress.
Oh
So I
wow.
feel like the animals in that journey kind of helped save my life probably and keep me sane. It was a good coping skill, but it also was
Mm-hmm.
leading to me also going into a business model I didn't even know other people felt the same way. Now, by doing that and finding out that we can do Airbnb here that's unregulated in Charles County, we started having people come from all over the country and made this place a destination for tourists,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. I was
Oh,
shocked because that was not my original vision. And so it actually by the county giving me a hard time, by neighbors giving me a hard time, it really just forced me to pivot and accidentally end up with something that probably is popping better than what my original plan would have been.
isn't
And
that
for like
something?
a fraction of the cost because I'm not having to develop a commercial campground. I don't need to develop an RV park. I can use what I'm doing here and see what, what people are wanting now and add all these amenities here. And people were willing to pay top dollar for the experience that's been created here.
Oh wow. I mean, Dominic just it's just, I'm like in la la land right now because that's just simply amazing because I mean you really pivot to something and you fought for that pivot and now that's like almost as better than your original plan. That's like icing on the cake. That's like amazing story. Now, how do you care for the animals? Did you have to get a veterinarian? Do you have any skills in that department? Danica, do you have any skills in the veterinarian area? How did you manage to keep all these animals and keep them in safe environment and just take care of them?
Well, prior to getting the bunnies and the chickens and all that, I've only ever owned a dog, and a bird when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, um, but once I got them, I feel like the empath in me kind of makes me a natural caregiver. And keep in mind, some of my
Mm-hmm.
other businesses are about caring for people, child care center, assisted living home.
Yeah.
So jumping in and just having that empathy and trying to help someone else, I just applied that to animals. Only difference is they can't talk, but neither can some of our elderly folks, and neither can some of the
Children.
infants we have, but you
Mm-hmm.
still learn how to anticipate needs and you educate yourself. So every time we would get a new species, I would get a mentor for that particular species. So I have like a bovine mentor, I have a camelid mentor, I have a poultry mentor, and a lot of them are people who gave me animals or sold me animals, and I keep in contact with them, and and they follow the page. Usually they keep an eye on things. If they see something, they might private message me, or I'll, it's just having the mentors are good. And we also, yes, we have a vet that's absolutely necessary for the situation I'm in because we're now a licensed petting zoo, and because I'm under so much scrutiny, it would behoove me to have a good relationship with the vet so that when the people put in the false animal control complaints about animal cruelty and that, oh yeah, because that happens just routinely. Animal control, they just routinely visit my property. So I have to make sure that when I can call on Tidewater, which is the vet clinic that I use, um, they come out, they take a look, and they can do reports giving their clinical opinion, I guess you could call it, on how the animals are being cared for. And to date, we have never been found guilty of animal cruelty or doing anything that was malicious or negligent. And we've actually gotten props for us being rookies and taking on more animals than some of the more experienced people have, and taking on a variety of animals. So we have
Mm-hmm.
many more species on our farm than some other farms where may only focus on a couple of species, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we've actually had a lot of compliments from our vet and from our mentors with the kind of job we're doing over here. We have had loss. Keeping these animals healthy, that's what makes the job hard. Because if you're doing it right, you're always going to be busy, whether you're mucking, whether you're doing herd health days and those type of things. So I go on YouTube, I have mentors, I love reading and I love learning. So that's how we figured out how to
Mm-hmm.
take care of the animals.
Oh, that's what, and Danica, speak to your experience because you in there. You said you was out there dealing with the animals.
She used
Yeah,
to
I learned
run from him.
everything from.
She used to run from him.
Yeah, I learned everything from Charity. I knew like small animals, yes. Like it's something I gotta run, like something big. Uh-uh.
Okay.
Okay, so the bunnies, cool. Chickens, yep. Turbo, very gentle.
Okay.
Cows, alpacas, you might spit on me. Mm-mm. But I remember there was one time, and then we couldn't find an alpaca, and I was just like, hold on, somebody miss it. Uh-uh. I'm gonna go in this pasture. I'm gonna work up the nerve to cross this gate and look and see. And the alpaca was in the shelter, but it was just that willingness to say, okay, I'm gonna face my fears because I'm not really a face my fears type of person. I'm definitely like I'm scared. I'm not going, and unless it's like life or death or something, I have to do. I'm not going just like, oh yeah, I wanna face the alpacas or I wanna face the cows. I don't have to do that. Like, I don't. But I formed a really good relationship with the animals, the horses, um, and the cows, all the animals. But I also knew my limits. Like I knew that um, it wouldn't be where it wouldn't be wise to go. I don't know everything, so let me not overstep my boundaries. So I definitely respected the animals, but I loved them all. I was chased by a rooster. Like, you haven't lived until you ran from a rooster, you know?
Yeah. Or a
That's what I,
turkey.
or,
The turkey jumped
or
Charlie a
turkey,
couple of weeks
yes.
ago.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, but the animal, it's all love, though. Like, it's all love.
Oh, that's
Like, the
what.
farm is full of love. It is. It is.
So,
And
how do one get to come to Charity's Hope Family Farm and see these roosters and alpacas? How can one go and see it? What's that like? What's the routine? Either one of you. Well, I would say Danica first because you went there and you took Charlie. How did you set that up? And then what
my
did Charlie
first
think?
visit was, I want to say, it was a event. I want to say I like bought tickets. She had an event. I bought tickets, and then we visited the farm. I want to say we went in August. I'm not sure what was happening, but I went in August, and then I went to the fall festival, and when that was the first time I think me and Charity actually met. It was that first fall festival. So she has lots of events that give the public opportunity to come on the property. Like she said, the farm is hard work, so to just keep the doors open 24/7 to welcome guests is unrealistic because you have so much to do, and then she does so many other things, and then sometimes animals are animals. They gonna you might have a we had Millie and Cash love to escape. They love to escape. They
Yeah.
not go anywhere. They don't leave the property. They just leave their pasture and just, cause mischief or just wander around. And that's okay for behind the scenes, but you have a bull who is a mini bull and he out trotting around, picking up speed, and I'm just like, oh, okay. All
Okay,
right,
let me
Cash,
go jump in my car, right?
we cool. But I met Cash as a little baby. None of Charity's animals have ever tried to hurt me in any way, shape, or form. All my fears are with something within. Um, but yeah, I went to an event, and then the Airbnb. I would suggest that before peak season ends, and I don't know if she switched it back, but during off peak season, you can rent by, I'm using the word rent, but you can
Book.
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 Hmm.
Yes, you
Yes.
can book the house per room as opposed to having to do the whole house. In the
Okay.
summertime, it's so busy. It's usually just whole house. in the winter, in the colder months where it's not as busy, Charity gives us the opportunity to book the property by room. That is a perfect time to experience the farm, because when you book the Airbnb, you get to visit the farm, and it is just an amazing experience. I'm not sure if the designer of the house knew where the sun was rising and setting, but there are rooms where the sunrise is just perfect. Like, it is just
Mhm.
amazing. And you can kind of tell that it wasn't by happenstance. The way the house is designed, where in their master suite, the views are amazing. You have alpaca out of one window, you have the pond out of another window, you have this amazing sunrise. The house is immaculate, it's beautiful. All the rooms have a different theme. Like, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
Charity, what?
It's just a
Uh,
great place to book for you having a family reunion, a small event, a large event. Like, I had, because the where the fans at. The
mhm.
first thing place I thought of was the farm.
Yep.
Like, this black farm owned by these black people, and we need to do a boots on the ground event at the farm. Like, that's all that's running in my head. And then the algorithm must have heard me, because that's all that's in my phone now is where them fans at.
Where
Now I
the
want to
fans
know,
at?
should I sell fans? Do what I need to do something with fans, like, But yes, the first place I thought of was the farm.
So you're gonna
But
do
then
where the fans event is? That's
I'm
something that you're working
that
on?
is something I'm thinking about, and I have been working with somebody else who is more event savvy, because again, I am a super introvert. Like,
Okay.
I can put some stuff together, I can do some events at work, but when you talk about like a hoedown with 150 people, that could
Hmm.
be a little overwhelming for me. So I want to make sure that I'm all in before I,
Okay. Hopefully
announce
Chanel is
anything.
still on this on the live right now, but Chanel does she's been learning where the fans at. Maybe Chanel can come out and do something with you.
Yeah, like, I had
She
all those
yeah.
ideas.
I'm gonna actually pass that information to her if she is
Because it
not
was
on the
just like,
live.
where else would a trail ride or a Southern Soul, I think that's the type of music it's called. Where
Hmm.
else? Then I saw, like, this event place called Lamont's is having one, so it's getting very popular in this area. It's a Southern thing, but it's definitely going viral, and I'm just
Sure.
like, there's no other place in the DMV that would be a better space,
I mean,
because not
on the
only are the
farm, on a family farm, and then you can
has
still make it
event
family,
spaces.
yeah,
It's an
family
event
friendly,
space. It has
yeah. In the
event
barn,
bars.
hay,
Yes,
hay,
yes.
horses. I'll come with it.
Yeah.
Where the
You know what I'm
fans
saying? Where the fans at? So yeah, it's just the possibilities are so endless at the farm. The geodomes. We didn't even talk about the
We didn't even talk about
geodomes.
the geodomes. Yeah.
Quickly
It's
talk about
just
the geodomes
um
before I go to my next two questions.
yes. So Charity's Hope Family Farm has these two beautiful geodomes. Um, they could be used for glamping, but they could also be used for things like if you do have yoga or wellness activities. They could be used for growing. They could be used as a VIP space if you're having an event. Like, when I say the possibilities at Charity's Hope Family Farm are endless. It's not an over exaggeration, because there are so many things that can be done at the farm. Um,
That's what's up.
yeah.
I want to ask Charity real quick. Can anybody just come and say, Charity, I want to do an event. This is what it's looking like. How does that happen?
So you would reach out through email, and you would just put a little blurb in the body of the email saying, that you want to discuss some collaboration opportunities. If you can be if people can be as detailed as possible in the email, that helps me a lot, because I don't have a lot of time to have meetings. So just a little blurb about what kind of event you'd like to have, and then I look it over, and if it sounds like something that could be fall within what we do here and comply with the zoning laws and everything, then I respond either way. But if it looks like it's something that could, be a good fit, then I do schedule like a Zoom meeting to talk more in detail about what the person wants to do. I am willing to sign non-disclosure agreements, non-compete agreements, as long as it's not something that, that if we were
Violent.
already planning on doing
Mm-hmm.
something, I wouldn't sign a non-compete. And so then from there, because this is the main thing that I want to do, because I'm getting too busy to execute every single thing. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of staff. So, what I've been looking to do is just collaborate with people. And once we see that I kind of help them shape their idea to fit the zoning rules, and we co-host events together with the farm branding and their branding, and I kind of help make sure that we get the word out. And the proposal that you should send would be something that's very simple, almost like an outline, just letting me know with the specifics that we discussed, what you're planning to do, what the proposed compensation structure would be. Do you want to just pay me to use the space and then you do what you do, or you want to profit share? I'm open to a number of things, but that proposal should have, like, that's one of the most important parts of the compensation piece and the financials, because I need to see if a person knows how to um, plan, budget, and kind of understand their own business model, and if it's a viable one.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see that all that looks good, then I go ahead and tell the person, yeah, we can move forward. At some point, though, probably in between doing that first Zoom meeting where we go over what they emailed me, between that and them submitting their official proposal, I invite them to the property and I walk them through and I show them everything that's here, because a lot of people don't even know everything that we have here, or they don't know all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's coming.
Mm-mm.
So I
Okay.
let them know that, and then we start brainstorming. We get on it and we schedule that meeting or another meeting so that we can shape it even more, because now that they know we have geodomes, they're like, oh, I didn't even know you had these, or that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So I like, just make sure I work with them so that whatever they're trying to do is compliant. That's the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing. Some things can fit under our agritourism permit
Mm-hmm.
as long as we are considered as the ones hosting it. Um, and then you have, if it doesn't fit under our agritourism approval, then it requires a public event permit. We can only have 30 of those per year, so I will be selective about what I allow here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that would be how you would reach out. You would start with that initial email.
Okay. I had two more questions. I know we about to come up to the 12 o'clock
Oh, it's
hour, but I want to just
12
keep
o'clock
you
already?
a few
Yep.
more minutes just because these two questions are very important to me. I think it's very important to the people who watch because a lot of people just enjoy this part. But how has this all changed you both since you first started? So I'll go with you, Charity, because you just finish up and then you'll quickly pass it to Danica, and then I'll have one final question after that.
Uh, I don't know that I have changed. I just
Okay.
think that I'm on my trajectory that I've always been on, and I have more knowledge. I have more knowledge, but I don't know that I've changed much at all, actually, other than just knowing this is yet another industry that I've jumped into head first, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to stay above water. And that's just what I do. That's really been my MO with all of the businesses that I started.
Okay, Danica.
Um, on the flip side, it has changed me tremendously. I have the person that you guys see is not the person that I was before plants or gardening or any of that. I was emotional. I was um uh,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Okay.
person before I discovered my love for plants and growing and eventually the love for farming. Um it just kind of calmed me. I can't I just bought this book right here from Walmart. I was in line.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was just reading the articles about the power of plants, and it was talking about how much plants are like therapy, like,
Okay.
just being around plants can change who you are. And so it really has changed me. It just made me a better person. It's made me a better teacher. I think it's made me a better parent, more patient. With gardening and growing, you have to be patient. Nothing happens overnight, you know. Nothing like it. Farming is all, you have to be patient, so I think this journey in farming and gardening and agriculture has brought me closer to people where I am. I'm a self-proclaimed introvert, but plants and gardening has opened me up to a community of people, like even like me and Kimani.
Mm-hmm.
um, it was because I joined this plant community during the pandemic that I didn't even know existed. Like, I started buying plants, and then I just found, or the community found me, and then I was just like, oh my goodness, this is an amazing community. These are amazing people, and I don't know if it was because we were all going through the same thing during the pandemic. A lot of us were like locked down and quarantined, so we just found that solace in each other. But it just went from there, and I just kind of grew closer to people. It was because of plants I was able to
Okay.
reach out to Charity.
That's what's
I met
up.
Charity, so it was that. Because usually I'd have just been like, girl, no, I'm not doing that. I'm
So it
not
has
reaching out
changed you for
to
the
her,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it just really changed me for the
yeah.
better.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the better. Because I'm still on you. What is your future plans? Do you have any future plans for Danica? And then
I
I'll jump
do.
to
I
Terry.
have my major goal and plan is to stop letting, I don't know if it's fear,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to be able to, because I have amazing ideas that sometimes never come to fruition
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like to be told no, or I don't like to fail. So I have so many plans. Like Charles County right now does not have a plant store, and
Okay.
and that's always been like, what? Like, so Charles County is said to be the richest Black county in America. We have all these homes, all these communities, and outside of Lowe's and Home Depot and Giant and Safeway, you cannot go down here and buy a plant anywhere. Like, there
Oh wow.
is no business focused on the sale of plants, or focused on, we have nurseries, but that's outdoor gardening and ornamental. So that's one of my goals, is to open up a business focused on the sale of and the care of houseplants. And then my other goal is just to expand my horticulture and early enrichment program, because through this whole like season of being down, that was one thing that remained constant. The two things that remained constant is that I still had to go to work because the bills still had to be paid,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to do my nature club and my horticulture for these little kids. Like, even when I didn't want to, even when I didn't have enough money to buy the supplies, whatever it was, I was still going to do that. So I know that that program is really, it's hard work.
Yes.
Being an early educator for me is hard work. So going to work didn't seem as hard as I thought it was during that downtime when I was just feeling like I didn't even want to get out of the bed most of the time.
Okay.
But again, it was the plants.
Okay.
It was going to work and teaching and be having that garden there. And basically the garden was dead, but I saw that the kids still loved it. We
Okay.
still had some collard greens in there
Mm,
that was struggling, and the dirt, and they found joy in the garden on the off season, which kind of again touched my heart.
that is a
Um,
good thing, Tanika.
yeah,
I wanna quickly
yeah.
jump to Charity because I don't want to keep y'all on for
Okay,
too long. But
okay.
I do wish you the best in trying to get that plant shop started and keep
Absolutely.
building up those skills. Because I'm gonna come for you to teach some classes soon. Okay, so be ready. So
All right.
Charity, what is the future plans for Charity's Hope Family Farm? break it down to me. I was like, give me a minute recap. I don't want to
Okay.
keep you on too long.
We the next things we have in development, biggest thing is the Geodome that will be available on Hip Camp and Airbnb. I am allowed to have one campsite year round, without having to become a commercial campground. So we're really excited about that. We also have our zip line, Ninja Warrior obstacle course, and archery range that we're
Wow.
working on. And just basically continuing to develop the property in compliance with all the local, state, and federal guidelines. And collaboration. Collaboration is going to be what I really focus on. I know some people may be disappointed because we may not be having some of our annual events that we normally do, because I find that it's just been too exhausting for
Mm-hmm.
me and to my health. I do need to focus a bit more on my health and my family. So we probably won't be doing very many public events. We're going to be looking for collaborators instead who want an opportunity to um, do those things, and they have a place to do it, and then they get
Mm-hmm.
to be compensated accordingly. I would love to see those things continue on, but right now I have to focus on some other areas. So the farm is not, it's going to be kind of quiet. I'll still be doing some of the basic things with the farm, but it'll be kind of quiet for a while I recuperate and handle the things I need to handle.
Okay, I think that's a good thing. I mean, put yourself first, and then all that other stuff will happen
Mm-hmm.
in between. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep our health
Yes.
together. You know what I'm saying?
So
We want to
please
live in.
email
Yeah.
me if you are interested in collaborating, or you want to, I can pass the torch to you for
Hmm.
some of the annual events that we've had. I am definitely looking for that because I want people to be able to come to the farm and take full advantage of the opportunity that's here. There's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of opportunity here for people that are ready to do something.
Yes, it sounds amazing. I might
Mm-hmm.
shoot the Nika. This might be where Melanated Earthlings Explorer is this summer.
Have
You
an
know,
alternate location for one of
Yeah,
those weeks. Come on now,
absolutely.
yeah,
and come
yeah.
further
So
south, and you could be up there with Farmer Gail too.
Yep.
yep, yep. So I'm working on that. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the camp just yet, but because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
stress anybody out about money and different things like that, just because of the nature of what's going on in this administration. But I'm working on some ideas. But folks, go email charity, get in touch with Danica because she can help you get your farm and all that good stuff popping. But I want to leave y'all. I don't want to keep y'all too long, but I always like to leave. Well, thank y'all first for joining me today, this
My
morning,
pleasure.
Thank
Charity and
you.
Danica coming on. But I always leave with this: live your life healthy, Charity, and free from negativity. And it's always Black people. We gotta stay
Yeah.
dope. All right, till the next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Bye bye.